So let's look at a bit of it. This is the second lady of the United States, Usha Vance, talking about her relationship with her husband, the vice president. Number C1, please.
Do you mind if I ask a little bit about your love story?
Sure.
When you first met him, what did you think was special about him? Because my husband and I were friendly first before we got together too, and there was definitely a moment that I was like, oh, maybe this is a little different.
So the first meeting would have been in the library. I think I've told people about this before, where we were just on a tour of the library together, and we met all the people who were in our classes together. And that I barely remember because, it was a tour. There was just this flood of information, and I was really focused on that. But I think we were really lucky that we got to know each other in the best possible setting. We had all our classes together. It was just a really lovely social environment. Mm-hmm. So I just knew of him as one of the people who kind of held that group together. Really was when later on in our second semester, when he started to talk more about where he was from and what made him this kind of person who I just found so appealing, that I started to think of him in this different way, as something other than a friend, but one of the more interesting people I'd ever met in my life.
Sure.
And I think that's what kind of set us on the path towards dating and eventual marriage.
All right, Meghan, you're a great journalist, but you're also a great intuitive understander of people. What's your appraisal of how she talks about her marriage as compared to some other folks you know?
Well, I said this with you guys earlier on your morning show that it's very clear they're in love, which sadly in politics, that isn't always the case. I really pride myself on being able to read people, particularly political couples. And there's sometimes you meet people and you just, for better or for worse, it's obviously a relationship of convenience or their shared love is political power. And for them, my main takeaway from Usha was just they're genuinely in love. They have a genuine connection. They met in a really organic, normal way in college. And that she's there supporting him in the last thing she thought she would be as second lady or our next potential first lady. And I don't know, I find so much of it really refreshing because the vice president and Mrs. Vance, Usha, are my age and they have children around my children's age. And I have never experienced anything like that in my adult life. Normally, political couples are much older. They have their grandchildren around. And we talk about in the interview the pressure of being like the first millennials in this place. And I found them very normal. When I went to their house, their dog was running around, their children were around, there's a playground in their yard, there's like a pool that, the kids could swim in. Like it just felt like other than it was a naval observatory and it's obviously, guarded within an inch of its life, it could have been any other home in Washington, D.C. filled with children. So I found that really refreshing too.